Hey guys, before we start this thing, I need to have a kind of brief little rant here. Um, if you're just interested in what my thoughts on WrestleMania are, just go to this part on the screen. There'll be a little title card before I start talking about the show proper. But if you follow me on social media at all, you'll know that I was having problems with the WWE Network stream. It wasn't my internet because I was watching on my TV, which is a smart TV that has a built-in Roku in it. And normally I used to use an Amazon Fire Stick, but I had to switch to a Roku because of certain apps that were no longer going to be available on that Fire Stick that are available on Roku. But that's a little beside the point. I couldn't plug the Fire Stick in afterwards anyway because there's no place for it to be plugged in right now, unfortunately. Anyway, back on topic. The stream was basically breaking down and breaking up. I tried to get some help from the Ask WWE Network Twitter feed. They tried their best to help me on that, and so I'm very appreciative of that. I'm not trying to bash them at all. I'm placing this pretty firmly on the Roku people. I've messaged them about it. I said, hey, I keep having problems with this app. I don't think it's my network because I couldn't watch it on my TV. I immediately switched over to my computer, and except for like a little hiccup at the beginning, the stream came through fine. Everything worked. So, yeah, but this did result in me missing major portions of a few matches. I missed the end of the Cruiserweight Championship match. I missed basically the first 3/4 or so of the Women's Battle Royal, and I missed pretty much all of the Intercontinental Championship match, the Triple Threat. So, unfortunately, it's like, I guess my review of WrestleMania is going to be a little incomplete. So please try to take that with a grain of salt as you will. But that being said, I did manage to still watch most of the show, so I should be able to at least give something of a decent opinion on it. So let's go get to that right now. Okay, starting things off, we have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. This is before my stream problems. We did get some special guest commentators of Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler, and they're joining Byron Saxton, which at least Byron was not as cloying as he normally is in this. It was this time, so that at least helped on that, a little bit on that. But yeah, the first one to be eliminated was Aiden English. After that was Connor from the Ascension, then Kurt Hawkins. We then had a brief reunion of the Golden Truth tag team. R-Truth and Goldust kind of worked together on a little bit, but then immediately Goldust tossed R-Truth over the top rope. After that, Mike Kanellis, who, is also still on the roster, eliminated Primo Colon, who, again, is still on the roster. After that, Sin Cara eliminated Kanellis. Shelton Benjamin eliminated Tyler Breeze. Rhino eliminated Victor from the Ascension. Mojo Rawley then eliminated Zack Ryder. Faked him out. He was going to do the Broski boot on, Ryder was going to do the Broski boot on Dolph Ziggler, and Rawley came right across and just knocked Ryder out. After that, Chad Gable eliminated Carl Anderson. Titus O'Neil eliminated Luke Gallows. The Arrival teamed up to eliminate Apollo Crews and Shelton Benjamin. They then kind of got into a tangle with Rhino, and I believe it was Chad Gable eliminated Rhino and the Revival. After that, the Miztourage were eliminated by Kane. Kane then eliminated Fandango. Baron Corbin then eliminated Sin Cara and Heath Slater. Chad Gable got eliminated by someone. I believe that one was off camera. So they did not show that one. At this point, Ziggler eliminated Titus O'Neil and Goldust. Let's see. Matt Hardy eliminated Ty Dillinger. Kane eliminated Dolph Ziggler, kind of, again, roughly the same time. Corbin then eliminated Kane. Hardy, Corbin, and Mojo Rawley were the remaining three. At this point, the lights went out in the arena. Bray Wyatt's theme hit. Wyatt showed up and immediately attacked Mojo Rawley and assisted Matt in eliminating Mojo Rawley. And then the two basically double-teamed Baron Corbin to toss him over the top rope. And yes, Hardy won this because Bray Wyatt was not initially in the match, so he was not considered an opponent. After that, the two actually embraced and did a little pose in the ring, and Matt celebrated with the Andre the Giant trophy. Kind of a strange end to this, and it does leave me a little intrigued as to what's going to happen. If Bray Wyatt has abandoned Sister Abigail now, is he following someone else? How is Jeff going to play in this when he comes back? So yeah, this could be rather interesting. Alright, our next match, and again, this was one that got broken up a little bit, so you're going to have to try to take my thoughts with a bit of salt here, or a couple grains of salt. But it's the Cruiserweight Championship Tournament Final, Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali. They were both very enthusiastic to be on the stage of WrestleMania, which is actually it was pretty nice to see, again, some very genuine enthusiasm. The crowd was still kind of filing in at that point, though, unfortunately. Ali hit a big jumping head scissors at one point. Alexander came back and hit a somersault head scissors, and then followed it with a drop kick. Alexander came back with a somersault plancha to the outside. The way he hit it, though, he flipped up over the top rope, and when he landed, he actually kind of hit the little join between the ring barricade and the floor, and he started selling a bit of an injury at that point. Ali hit a big rolling kind of facebuster move. Alexander came back with a Spanish fly. Ali came back with a Spanish fly off the top rope. Alexander went for, Cedric countered an 054 attempt and tossed Ali out of the ring. Alexander began to get more aggressive and began stomping Ali. Ali countered a lumbar check and wound up hitting an 054, but Alexander had his foot on the ropes. Ali went for another 054, but Alexander rolled out of the way, and that's when the stream broke. So I did not see what Alexander did to win the match. I'm guessing he probably hit the lumbar check. Overall, a pretty decent match with some good high spots involved. Again, it was sort of weird in the sense I do believe both came out of this still as baby faces. There were no heel turns, but it looked like at some point both wrestlers were acting kind of heelish during the match. So it was rather strange to see. Like I said, for the most part I was entertained, except of course that I didn't get to see the end of it. Okay, after this, it's the Women's Battle Royal, or the Battle for the Giant Uterus Trophy. Like I said, the stream kept going down, so I missed a major chunk of this. I can tell you some of the eliminations, like Mandy Rose was in there and she got eliminated. Sonya Deville got eliminated soon thereafter. Bianca Belair, who, if you don't watch either NXT or if you didn't watch the Mae Young Classic, she is a woman. She has this very, very long braided ponytail that goes from her head down to basically about her knees, and she can actually use it as a whip. I mean, she cracks people with this thing. She was arguably the breakout performer at the Mae Young Classic. I mean, I know that sounds strange given that Kairi Sane won it, and Shayna Baszler is currently NXT champion, NXT Women's Champion. But yeah, like Bianca Belair was really kind of the one to, exactly, to make a real, for lack of a better term, impact. She hit a 450 splash onto Kairi Sane, and then Sane got eliminated. At this point, again, the stream started breaking up, so I know Sasha Banks eliminated Dakota Kai. At this point, Banks and Bayley eliminated Ruby Riott, Natalya, and Sarah Morgan. Liv Morgan, I mean. And then Sarah Logan, as Bayley took her out. And one sort of funny point with Natalia, unfortunately, she had a bit of a wardrobe malfunction. Her tights split in a very inconvenient place, and that's all I'm going to say. At this point, Bayley and Sasha were the only two in the ring. They did give a very brief handshake, and Bayley immediately grabbed Sasha's hand and tossed her over the top rope to eliminate her. Bayley thought she had won because, again, at the time, she and Sasha were the only two in the ring. But it turns out Naomi had been tossed out, but she had been tossed out through the ropes instead of over it, and she was still eligible for the match. Naomi hit the rear view and tossed Bayley out to win the Women's Battle Royal. Like I said, my grade for this is going to be very incomplete, but I'm not entirely sure I like the idea that Naomi just, again, sort of, I hesitate to say fluked her way, but yeah, like, that sort of seemed not planned. It just didn't, gel completely right. Don't know if Bayley is effectively a heel now, since she was the one that really initiated the turn on Sasha. So, yeah, it's just left a lot of weird questions. And as now we move off the kickoff show to the show proper, again, this is when I was having stream problems, unfortunately, so the first match was the Intercontinental Championship Triple Threat match, The Miz versus Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor, but not the Demon Finn Balor, just ordinary Finn Balor, who had the Balor Club with him when he made his entrance. I did manage to see that. Like I said, this is basically what I saw before the stream problems just made it unbearable. But Rollins and Balor tried to roll each other up very early on. Balor hit a basement dropkick on The Miz. Rollins came in and hit a big crossbody on Balor. Miz threw Balor into Rollins. Eventually, the ending was Seth Rollins. Balor hit the coup de grace on The Miz, and then Rollins came in and hit the curb stomp on both Balor and The Miz, and Rollins covered for the 3 count and the victory. Seth Rollins is now a Grand Slam champion, so in the first 4 months of the year, we have crowned 3 new Grand Slam champions in Roman Reigns, who won the Intercontinental Championship, and Seth Rollins, obviously, who also won the Intercontinental Championship, and Randy Orton winning the United States Championship. I hope the match was good. Unfortunately, like I said, I didn't really get to see any of it, so I can't really comment on it. Okay, our next match is the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Charlotte versus Asuka. Again, this is when I had just switched my computer. There was like a little bit of a hiccup in the stream, so I did not get to see the entrance. So, but I did manage to, I think it was pretty early on in the match, so I did manage to see most of it. Charlotte blocked an attempted hip attack by Asuka. Eventually, Asuka did manage to hit a running hip attack through the ropes and send Charlotte into the ring barricade. Charlotte came back, the two were brawling, and Charlotte hit a backpack stunner, which is Asuka was trying to put a sleeper hold on, and Charlotte basically sat straight down and jammed her head up into Asuka's chin. Asuka suplexed Charlotte off the ring apron. Asuka then hit a big missile drop kick. Charlotte went for a moonsault, and Asuka dodged that. Charlotte then managed to come back and hit a Spanish fly from the top rope. Asuka then countered an attempted natural selection into kind of a modified sitting octopus hold. Charlotte was sitting on the ring, the mat, and Asuka basically had the octopus hold put on that way. It was actually really kind of cool. Charlotte managed to fight her way out of it. Asuka went for an attempted Asuka lock. Charlotte came back and hit the spear, got a 2 count. Charlotte also was selling an arm injury at this point, and so she locks on the figure 4, starts bridging it into the figure 8, but she couldn't plant on her left arm. So she was doing this essentially with one arm, and it was enough for Asuka to tap out. So yes, Asuka's streak is over. gotta say I'm gobsmacked because like I said, most of the rumors I have been hearing is that they're going to push Asuka versus Ronda Rousey at next year's Mania, but now it seems that no, they're actually going to push Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey as the main event for next year's WrestleMania. Uh, like I said, it was a really great match. Just a couple of points afterwards, Asuka got on the mic and said, Charlotte, you were actually ready for Asuka. I give you credit, and the two embraced. And then as Charlotte began to make her way up the ramp, a ref came, basically throughout the kickoff show, they cut to John Cena sitting in the crowd, knocking back a few beers, hanging out with people. There was a pregnant woman next to him. So yeah, he was taking a few selfies with people, he signed some autographs, and like I said, they just kept cutting to John Cena. He is actually reacting to a lot of the matches. He did seem very genuinely impressed by the Cruiserweight match, so kudos to him for paying attention to that. But like I said, so when this happened, ref came rushing down to the ring, was talking to Cena, said something, and Cena flipped out and jumped over the barricade and shot up the ramp. Obviously, you can make your conclusions there, or if you saw the match, you know what happened, but we'll get to that. Okay, our next match is the Fatal 4-Way match for the United States Championship. Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode versus Rusev versus Jinder Mahal. Funny thing, when Rusev came out, he was obviously sung down by Aiden English, who, in between the Battle Royal and the Fatal 4-Way match, Aiden English shaved his head. He had hair at the Battle Royal, and he was bald by the Fatal 4-Way, so funny thing there. Rusev opened up the match, hit Bobby Roode, and Mahal was a couple of big drop kicks. He had a cannonball dive onto Orton and Mahal on the outside of the ring. Orton then hit Bobby Roode with a power slam. Orton hit Roode with a superplex. Roode came back at a big spine buster on Jinder Mahal. Orton hit his Hangman DDT on Rusev. At this point, Aiden English interfered and got RKO'd for his troubles. Also, Rusev and Mahal got RKO'd. Roode came in and hit the glorious DDT for a 2 count. He and Orton began to brawl outside of the ring. Rusev hit a couple of big kicks on Jinder Mahal. He started to go for the accolade, but then Sunil Singh interfered, and it distracted Rusev just enough for Mahal to hit the Kalash for the 3 count and the victory. Your new United States champion is Jinder Mahal, and at least I got one of my WrestleMania predictions right. Yeah, I was pulling an over until the 6th match. So yeah, shows you what I knew in this. Overall, though, the match was decently entertaining. It was not spectacular, but it had a lot of great moments. It had some very high points. Obviously, the whole Rusev Day celebration. The crowd is fairly firmly behind Rusev, so I would not be too upset if they followed through with a Rusev Mahal feud. I think it could work very well. Okay, our next match is the mixed tag team match. Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Hunter and Stephanie came down on motorcycles, much like they did last year, except now Steph was also on a motorcycle. Michael Cole says, "Now that's a WrestleMania entrance." Yeah, it was the same entrance they had last year, so at WrestleMania. That's spectacular. Basically, as the four stared at each other down in the ring, Stephanie pie-faced Ronda Rousey and hit a hair pull slam on her. Then Kurt and Triple H began to brawl a bit more, so they became the 2 official entrants in the match. Basically, Steph and Triple H double-teamed Kurt Angle for most of the early parts of this match. She pulled the top rope down, causing Angle to topple over it. She then grabbed Kurt Angle's head and slammed it into the ring steps. Angle dodged a Triple H attack. It resulted in Hunter almost hitting Steph. Stephanie prevented a tag by pulling Rousey off the ring apron. Eventually, Rousey got tagged in the end, square off with Stephanie. She hit a big, she tried to hit a T-bone suplex and did not quite get a full rotation on any of it. I think Steph actually landed on Rousey's head. Immediately, Rousey went for the armbar, but Steph managed to block it. She came back and actually hit a pretty nice DDT for a 2 count. Rousey came in and hit a swinging Samoan drop, but Triple H broke the pin. Steph then shoved Ronda Rousey off the ring post. Angle came in and hit the angle slam for a 2 count, but Stephanie broke the pin. Steph tried to kick Kurt Angle, and he responded by grabbing her leg and putting her on the armbar, or not the armbar, the ankle lock. Rousey came in and put Triple H in the armbar, but Steph managed to get free long enough to put Rousey in a rear naked choke. Rousey fought back, put Steph in an armbar, his ankle put Triple H in the ankle lock. But again, Hunter and Steph fought out of it, and Rousey managed to fight out of an attempted pedigree and put Steph in the armbar and effectively broke Steph's arm. She didn't really break her arm, but she put her in the armbar and Steph locked it on enough for Steph to immediately tap out. Surprisingly good match for someone who's not a trained professional wrestler making their first professional wrestling match. And you know, I'll also give kudos to Steph. She did a really good job of selling this thing. Obviously, she did a wonderful job of selling the armbar, probably because it did legitimately hurt. But when she was when Rousey was trying to lock it on, Steph had her fingers locked to try to keep it from being completely put on. And the whole time she's just screaming, "No, no, you're not doing it." Again, her healing on Kurt Angle worked wonders as well. It was a really great match. Like I said, kudos all around. Okay, the next match is the SmackDown Tag Team Championship Triple Threat match. The Usos versus the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers. The New Day in this case was Kofi Kingston and Big E. Kofi and Jey Uso immediately attacked the Bludgeon Brothers on the ring apron. Rowan came in. Rowan actually dropped an S-bomb on camera. He was whipping, I think it was Big E into the ring barricade. Or no, towards Harper for some sort of stunt. I can't remember exactly what it is, but yeah. One of them very audibly swore. Rowan came back in and splashed both Jay and Kofi in the corner. Oh no, he had a splash as Jay and Kofi were down on the ring. The Usos came back in. They suplexed Eric Rowan outside of the ring. They came in. They hit a couple super kicks on, I think it was Harper, but Rowan broke the pin. Eventually, the Bludgeon Brothers hit a super bomb on Kofi for the 3 count and the victory. Your new tag team champions are the Bludgeon Brothers. Basically, this was kind of a glorified squash match. Sort of unfortunate for the Usos is their whole thing building into this was they had never gotten to have a match on the main show at WrestleMania, and they do, and it's it was over in about 4 or 5 minutes. Oh well. And that will lead us into the next match, John Cena versus The Undertaker. Cena comes out. He's waiting in the ring, and then suddenly another ref comes down, says something to Cena. Cena starts to look dejected and walk off. And it's like, okay, when Cena was making his entrance, he said, "Oh yeah, it's time. I think you know he's here." And you know, that's when he got into the ring. And then this ref comes down, he says something to Cena, and it's like, "Oh no, it was some other guy." And Cena's like, "What?" No, he's kind of starts to look dejected. Starts heading up the ramp, and the lights go out, and Elias emerges. Elias starts singing the song. Cena gets angry, gets back in the ring, hits Elias with the AA. Again, Cena starts dejectedly walking out of the ring. The lights go up, the bell chimes, the Undertaker shows up in his dead man persona, not the American Badass. Basically, it was actually fairly well done. They showed the Undertaker's gear in the ring again. Then lightning struck the ring, and then the Undertaker appeared on the ramp. Basically, right after that, though, Cena and the Undertaker stared each other down in the ring. Undertaker hits the old school, the snake eyes. Tried to hit a big boot, but didn't. Tried to hit the jumping clothesline, didn't. Then he went for the chokeslam. Cena fought out of it, hit a back suplex. Cena went for the 5-knuckle shuffle, but Undertaker sat up immediately, chokeslammed Cena and tombstoned him for a quick victory. The way they did this thing was great. With the Elias fake out was really entertaining. I thought it was funny. And then it was like, okay, at some point I knew the Undertaker was going to show up at that juncture, but so it didn't surprise me that the Undertaker showed up. Unfortunately, unlike what the announcers said, this was not the Undertaker looking like the Undertaker of old. This was the Undertaker looking like an old Undertaker. You could tell he really can't move as well as he did anymore. I understand why they did this match, but there's also kind of a part of me that says this match should not have happened the way it did. They think, yeah, they missed the boat on doing a Cena-Undertaker match. So, make of that what you will. Okay, our next match is the tag team match between Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Shane and Bryan made their entrance, and immediately Zayn and Owens came out of the crowd to attack the two of them. Shane got tossed into the ring barricade, abdomen first. Bryan then got powerbombed into the ring apron. Shane had called for the medics. As the medics were checking out Bryan, Shane basically got in the ring and called for the bell anyway. At this point, Owens and Zayn basically took over. They just tossed Shane into the corner. Shane did fight back and hit Zayn with a DDT, but Owens just stomped Shane's abdomen. They kicked him in it. Zayn hit a exploder suplex and a blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Shane fought back. He dodged a Helluva kick and hit the Van Terminator. Owens then immediately hit a frog splash. They covered Shane, but Bryan got back into the ring and broke the pin. Zayn tagged in Owens and prevented Shane from tagging Daniel Bryan in. Eventually Bryan got the hot tag. Let's see, what did I write here? Clotheslines. Jeez, what the did I write here? Okay, anyway, Bryan hit Zayn with a top rope Frankensteiner. Owens distract Bryan, allowing Zayn to hit a Luva kick for a 2 count. Owens hit a pop-up powerbomb for a 2 count. Bryan came back and hit the yes kicks on Zayn. Bryan hit a flying knee and then put Zayn in the yes lock. Zayn tapped out. Kevin and Sami are still fired, which means they're just going to show up on Raw tomorrow night. Other than that, though, the match was well done. It was pretty good. Shane didn't really do anything in the match. I mean, he did it early on, but again, once he was out of the match, he was pretty much firmly out of the match at that point. Again, so it is kind of strange that we had a guy who was not cleared to wrestle until just a few weeks ago, having to put in a guy who was just cleared to wrestle a few days ago. Even though neither of them were... Bryan was in much better shape than Shane, obviously. Shane probably... In fact, you probably could have just not done the match and had it just be a 2-on-1 handicap. It maybe would have worked a little bit better, but overall the match was entertaining. Okay, our next match is the Raw Women's Championship match, Alexa Bliss versus Nia Jax. Alexa came out with Mickie James, and Nia came down to the ring and immediately attacked Mickie before the bell rang, basically took her out, knocked her, hit I think it was a Samoan drop on the outside of the ring, and that was enough to neutralize Mickie. Alexa slapped Nia and then just screamed it and knocked Alexa over. Alexa tried to roll out a ring and pull basically a count out, and Nia splashed her on the outside of the ring. Alexa fought back. She mainly got a couple thumbs into Nia's eye. Alexa stamped the back of Nia's knee, Nia came back in a big back suplex. Alexa dodged charging Nia at one point. Nia went shoulder first into the ring post. Alexa hit the Twisted Bliss to the outside of the ring and then followed that with a sitting DDT for a 2 count. Nia came back and slammed the back of Alexa's head off of the turnbuckle. Nia hit an Alabama slam for a 2 count. Nia then did a Samoan drop from the second rope for the 3 count and the victory. You're our new Raw Women's Champion, Nia Jax. It was really good to see Alexa get her comeuppance in this. But I should point out, I thought there was the rumor that Carmella was going to cash in her Money in the Bank contract on Charlotte. She didn't. I thought, gee, I wonder if she could possibly pull it so that she cashes it on Alexa. Like, maybe something happens, and as Alexa's out of it, and maybe she, incapacitates Nia long enough for Carmella to cash it in. That didn't really happen. It's nice to see Nia win. It's been kind of a long time coming. I think we've been expecting it for a while now that she was going to be women's champion. Don't know how long she's going to be a babyface champion, though. Really, the whole body shaming thing only worked with Alexa Bliss. No one else on the roster has done that to her. So, maybe going to see how that turns out. Overall, though, the match was pretty good. Okay, our next match is the WWE Championship match, AJ Styles versus Nakamura Shinsuke. Immediately, Shinsuke went for a kick, but Styles countered that into a waistlock takedown. Nakamura came back and hit a big spin kick. Styles landed a knee strike of his own. Funny, given Nakamura's propensity for knee strikes. Styles came back and hit a big backbreaker. Nakamura dodged a knee attack and tripped Styles on the ring apron. Nakamura hit a jumping kick from the second rope. Nakamura countered a back suplex into a face buster. Styles hit a pump handle gut buster. Nakamura countered a forearm into a Death Valley driver. Styles landed a kick to the inside of Nakamura's knee. Nakamura again selling a knee injury the whole time. After that, Styles locked on a calf crusher. Nakamura countered the calf crusher into a triangle. Styles spotted with a triangle and hit cradle DDT. Nakamura hit a big spin kick. Styles dodged a knee lift and hit the phenomenal forearm for a 2 count. Styles came back in a Pele kick, but Nakamura came back and hit a knee strike to the back of Styles' head for a 2 count. Nakamura got up and immediately started calling for the Kinshasa, went for it, and Styles countered that into a Styles Clash for the 3 count and the victory. This was a good match. I'll get to just a bit here. This was a good match, but I thought maybe it was a little too short. It felt lacking. Like the end of this got a little hurried. I thought they could have done a little bit better with that. And I should point out, though, that after that, the two embraced. Nakamura took the WWE Championship belt, got down onto one knee and handed it to Styles, and then low-blowed him with his hand. And after that, hit a Kinshasa knee strike on the outside of the ring. So effectively Shinsuke Nakamura is now a heel. You could tell the crowd was not behind this at all. I don't think they wanted to see that. I think Nakamura, especially in this case, works better as a babyface. I'm guessing he probably winds up being like Owens and CM Punk, who isn't there anymore, obviously. But yeah, where he's going to be a heel, but he'll still technically be cheered most of the time. He probably is not going to do his entrance anymore. I don't see much of a point in doing that. I don't mind the idea of keeping the belt on Styles, but like I said, it's just the end of the match felt a little rushed. I felt like this could have been a lot better than it was. Okay, our next match is the Raw Tag Team Championship match. The Bar versus Braun Strowman and a mystery partner. The bar came out on a Mardi Gras float. At that point, Braun Strowman came out and scared everyone on the Mardi Gras float. So you had all these people running down the entrance ramp with the giant paper mache masks, trying to figure out a way to get out of this. Strowman then tossed the cart off of the stage. Braun basically got on the mic and said, "Okay, you want to know who my partner is? It's someone out there." He points into the crowd. He starts wandering around the crowd. He finally stops and selects this, looked like a 9 or 10-year-old child named Nicholas, brought him into the ring and said, "This child, Nicholas, is my tag team partner." According to, I believe it was PW Insider and Cage Side Seats, Nicholas is the son of one of the referees. So this wasn't like some kid who really lucked into this. It's just a kid who was along for the ride. And with that, the match started. Strowman slammed Cesaro for a 2 count. Sheamus and Cesaro did a double suplex and then kind of landed top rope moves of their own. Sheamus got launched, catapulted over the top rope in the corner, and his hip hit the top of the ring post like hard, and he tumbled to the outside like he really got hurt, I think. Excuse me. But they got back into the ring. And were attacking. Sheamus and Cesaro were attacking Strowman. He managed to fight them off just long enough to get the hot tag to Nicholas, the 10-year-old, who immediately turned around to tag Strowman back in. Strowman hit a big power slam on Cesaro for the 3 count and the victory. A very entertainingly bizarre match. Stupid, but at least laughably stupid. I have no idea what the tag team of Braun Strowman and Nicholas, who has did take over the internet in the intervening time afterwards, is going to do. Yeah. I'm guessing the bar is probably going to wind up getting the belts back pretty soon here, probably even tonight. Okay, and that leads us into our main event, the WWE Universal Championship match, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Right off the bat, Roman went for a Superman punch. Lesnar just tossed him into the corner. Lesnar hit 3 German suplexes. Reigns came back and hit 2 Superman punches. The two began fighting outside the ring. Lesnar hit a big belly-to-belly suplex on the outside of the ring. Lesnar then slammed Reigns on the announce table. Brought Reigns back in, hit several suplexes on him. Lesnar then tossed Reigns into the barricade. Reigns came back and sent Lesnar off the ring post, and then speared Lesnar over one of the announce tables. Reigns came back and hit 2 more spears. Lesnar countered a 3rd spear attempt with a running knee lift. Lesnar hit an F5 for a 2 count. He hit a 2nd F5 for a 2 count. He hit a 3rd F5 for a 2 count. He hit an F5 on the German announce table. He hit another F5 for a 2 count. Reigns began to come back. Lesnar got angry. He ripped the gloves off. He pounded Reigns' head, caused Roman to bust wide open. Reigns was bleeding. He jumped up. He got angry. He hit a series of Superman punches and a couple of spears. Lesnar kicked out. Reigns went for another spear. Lesnar countered that into another F5, and that was for the 3 count and the victory. And I guess that means the Roman Reigns experiment is effectively done. I can't imagine him coming back from this. I mean, they built the whole thing to Roman finally conquering Brock Lesnar and moving on, and Lesnar's supposedly going to UFC, so I guess that means he's forfeiting the belt. Now, I mean, look, I'm not exactly the biggest Roman Reigns fan, but you were building to this, you short-circuited it. The match itself was all right. I mean, it was basically a note-by-note recreation of the WrestleMania 31 match, minus the Seth Rollins Money in the Bank cash-in. But other than that, it was like... this was actually disappointing. Like I said, I'm guessing that now probably the winner of the 50-man greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia is going to be the new Universal Champion. I really can't confirm that entirely. It's speculation on my part. I've also heard rumors that because Bobby Lashley is coming back, they want him to feud with Brock Lesnar. But yeah, I think Roman Reigns is pretty much done as a main eventer. You really can't have him come back from this after he basically got pounded at WrestleMania main event, that you were building him up to finally be the crowning moment of his career. Yeah, as you can tell, this did sour me. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Roman Reigns fan, but yeah, this was kind of disappointing. This was probably as disappointing as Randy Orton winning the Royal Rumble and then not winning the championship at, I think it was WrestleMania 25. Yeah, you built the storyline and then you short-circuited it, and it's not funny. It's not entertaining. This left me with a sour taste in my mouth, and it kind of unfortunately, my problems with the stream earlier that I've complained way too much on, so I won't dwell on. But yeah, that left me already with a sour taste in my mouth, and this just exacerbated it. Most of the undercard was pretty good. Like I said, pretty much all of the matches, I can't count the Intercontinental Championship match, unfortunately, but other than that, the U.S. Championship match, both women's matches, the mixed tag, the Owens, Zayn, Daniel Bryan's return was great. Like I said, the Undertaker match, while not the greatest thing in the world, was entertaining. With the Elias fake out, even the 10-year-old winning the tag belt, that was fun. But wow, this just really soured me. And like I said, the Nakamura Styles match, which was, again, should have been great, felt lacking because the ending was rushed. And yeah, like I said, now granted, this is kind of an incomplete grade, so put an asterisk next to this. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give WrestleMania 34 a C. I felt unfulfilled by this. Okay, so really actually need to start getting scripted on the Astro City review. So hopefully I'll be able to get that out in time. But the next video in the meanwhile is going to be the Rampage review. Like I said, I might hopefully I won't have to push the Astro City review too far back. It would only be a couple days if I have to, but after that will be the Random Trade review on Astro City. See you all then. Hey guys, tired of me always talking about WWE and NXT? Want to see me cover something like, say, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, anything else? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions and see how you can help me expand my wrestling coverage.